So it's been good this spring. I feel like we've taken some big strides, and I told him this morning, like 6 weeks from now, we got to come back ready to roll.
Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the thumbnail. MiniCamp Day 2. It's a wrap for MiniCamp now. It's going to be a break now. Believe they have a team barbecue tomorrow. And then after that, these guys are going on vacation. Well, most of the guys are going to go on vacation. We do have a start date for training camp. That's going to be July 24th. Fantastic. But we're talking 6 weeks before we see these guys in the building again. Daniel Jones said in the presser yesterday that, throughout this time between now and training camp start, he will be in the building. He is still rehabbing. He's going to try to organize some throwing sessions with some of the guys. But again, we got the break that's coming on. Today's practice was a very light practice. That's what all the reports are saying. A lot of the starters did not have to participate in practice at all, and a lot of them didn't participate in the team drills. But a lot of the action today pretty much was at the podium. The coordinators finally got a chance to talk, and boy, did they talk. Shout out to the beat writers, shout out to the media that was there, sports media that was there. Asked a lot of good questions. A couple players were at the podium as well. Got a lot of good intel from them as well. But we're gonna jump right into it. Actually, some fresh news. The New York Giants did sign Trey Herndon, formerly from the Jacksonville Jaguars, cornerback that came in for the tryout, and he was already making plays today. But we'll talk about the practice part a little bit later. So first off, I want to talk about Mike Kafka at the podium. And, the elephant in the room is, Brian Daboll calling plays. And how does Mike Kafka feel about Brian Daboll calling the plays? Well, the first thing they will say, and both of these guys, Daboll and Kafka, are both saying that the final decision has not been made whether or not who's going to be calling the plays. But you and I know, you and I know what's going on. Shout out to Tupac. Yeah, so Kafka was asked about, not calling the plays, and pretty much he said he's going to back up whatever decision Brian Daboll is going to make. He's there as a compliment to Brian Daboll. Just getting to some of the quotes. He said basically he's going to help out in the fundamentals, the techniques, formations, while Brian Daboll calls the plays. That's what he's doing right now. He's helping out in the background with the fundamentals, the techniques, formations, and stuff like that. He's doing all of the teaching in the background while Brian Daboll is calling these plays. So that's one of the main, things in regards to calling the plays that Mike Kafka spoke about. He also talked about Malik Neighbors, and on Neighbors, he said he's right on schedule. He's making plays, and he has a great work ethic. We've already seen that, and Malik Neighbors was at the podium yesterday, and he did talk about how he's just keeping his head down and just continuing to work, trying to get better, trying to fit in, things like that. He feels like he's already adding some juice and some swag to the wide receiver room, and hopefully that continues to grow. He also said in regards to the wide receiver room that the young guys are taking leadership roles, and this is mainly something from Wan'Dale Robinson. He said that Wan'Dale is taking forward steps as a leader, on the field and in the wide receiver room. And Wan'Dale Robinson, also on the podium today, said some of the same. Like he was kind of put into that leadership role, and now he's running with it. He spoke about DeVito and Locke. This is Kafka. Said they are both doing a nice job. I didn't see any quotes about Nathan Rourke, but there's some rumors that Rourke is actually the QB3 right now, overtime at DeVito, but we'll see what happens with that. I haven't seen one clip of Nathan Rourke. Just thinking about it mentally in my head, I haven't seen anything from Nathan Rourke. He also talked about Evan Neal, and Neal is going through the rehab process, which everybody already knows that's what's going on. And then he also talked about Priscillo putting his own flavor on the O-line, and he is happy with where they're at right now. So, and I'll get into this a little bit later when I talk about, Jermaine Illuminor and what he said at the podium. But Kafka being Kafka, being a good company man, supporting the head coach, saying that he's down with whatever the decision is going to be, liking what he's seeing on the field, liking what he's seeing in practice so far with the players. What more do you expect? So that was from Kafka today. Next was Shane Bowen. So we finally get a chance to talk or see what Shane Bowen has to say. And one of the main things he talked about as far as his defense, his base defense, he said, we will find out what best fits the players. And that's what you want to hear. We have a lot of guys that come in and they force players into their system and not necessarily build a system around the players. And you get a lot of coaching that's like that. That's not anything that's not normal. But when you're really trying to make a change and you really have talented players that might not fit your scheme completely, you have to build your scheme around the players that you have. That's the best thing that you can do, and that shows that you have the ability to grow and develop and change up your scheme or adapt your scheme to the guys you have on the roster. He said complicity on the back end, physical, fundamental, and sound. That's the playing styles for his defense. He also said that all the rookies have grown and done a good job, and that they're not making the same mistake twice. So that's good to hear that, you only have to make the correction once, and these guys are getting the defense down. So you love to hear things like that. Also, one of the quote of the days for him was, this was a new defense 9 weeks ago. Now it's the New York Giants defense. Love that ownership of what this team is on the defensive side. One thing, you saw the clip earlier, he said, told the players we have to be ready to go when we get back in 6 weeks. That's right. 6 weeks till training camp. Everything that they've learned over the past month and a half with from rookie minicamp to OTAs to minicamp, all this stuff, they have to make sure that all that, sinks in and that they're ready to go and pick up right where they left off in 6 weeks. So love that. He also said there's a lot of positions on the defense where he wants competition to drive the players. So what that tells me, or what that sounds like to me, is yes, we all know that there's some holes on the defense. There's some guys that might be penciled in for certain spots, but whoever gets these spots are going to be all fueled on the competition in training camp, the competition in the preseason. So just because you're not getting those first team reps right now doesn't mean that you're not going to be, the eventual starter when it's all said and done. So love that, especially when you see reports about Newman only playing with the twos right now and Andrew Phillips playing with the 2s and 3s right now. And there's still some competition out there, so you don't want to discourage these players early on, especially the rookies, but letting these guys know that, hey, a lot of these positions, how they get filled is going to be based off the competition that's going to be coming up shortly, during training camp. So love that. Next is going to be Brian Dable, the man of the hour at the podium. And he did, the first thing he talked about was players that got nicked up yesterday, more the wide receivers. And so the guys that got nicked up yesterday, Slayton, Bryce Ford, Wheaton, Chase Cole, they did not practice today. We're not going to be on the field today. He also said, and this was interesting because yesterday Bellinger said he was good to go, healthy, this, that, and the third, and he was giving up reps, for the younger guys, for actually not just the younger guys, but for Theo Johnson and also Lawrence Cager. We find out today at the podium when asked about Bellinger, Dable said, that he had got nicked up. Bellinger got nicked up a few weeks prior, and they're holding him back. So this is something that they're doing on purpose. So maybe there's a miscommunication between Bellinger and Dable, or maybe he just wanted to let everybody know that, yes, I am healthy. But yeah, I guess that was a plan for Dable not to, or to hold back on Daniel Bellinger, due to him, tweaking or having a nick a few weeks ago. Also, Dable talked about that he was very impressed with Neighbors. Every time anybody talks about Neighbors, they talk about how impressed they are with him. The guy was a blue chipper, so of course you should be impressed with him. He also talked about Wan'Dale is handling everything that's been thrown his way, and Wan'Dale spoke to that as well. Basically telling them that his role is probably going to expand a little bit. You're seeing him running some different routes. You're seeing him line up in some different places. We already know that he's more of a slot receiver than anything else, but the more versatility you can get out of Wan'Dale, the better. And it seems like he's taking a hold of his expanded role. Fantastic. All right. Dable also talked about learning from past mistakes and learning, taking the experience from last year, the lows with losing and stuff like that, and all the situations that went on behind the scenes. He didn't elaborate on those situations, but saying, all these opportunities give you a chance to grow or a chance to learn from these things. So, one of the things a lot of people talk about is how mature, or if Dable is off the handle. My man Charlie from Maine calls him Dable unstable. Listen, I will say this: I didn't see a big difference between Dable's actions and the way he acted on the sideline between year 1 and year 2. The only difference I saw was winning games versus not winning games. When he was winning games in 2022 and he was fiery on the sideline, nobody cared. When he was fiery on the sideline and the team was losing, everybody cares. So that's how I take it. A lot of people take it or see it differently, but it is what it is. And also, he called Mike Kafka a great teammate, whatever that means. Actually got 2 pages of notes here. So just some other quick notes today. We did talk about some of the starters that didn't participate in practice today, who had the day off. Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke, Brian Burns, Azeez Ojulari held out of practice today. All these guys, got the day off. I'm not sure if Isaiah Simmons, who's been working on the sideline, and Micah McFadden also didn't practice. I'll be looking for those notes a little bit later. But again, a lot of this information they should release on Giants.com. Did talk about the extremely light practice today. Didn't do much today. It was only an hour. Talked about the training camp starting on July 24th. One thing I will say, they did mention a play that was made today. And that was an interception from newly signed Trey Herndon. But that's important. I love to hear that the new guy got an interception. But it was off a tip pass from Darian Beavers. So seeing that Darian Beavers is active and able to make a play, fantastic, because we haven't heard a lot of news about Darian Beavers. You guys know how I feel about Darian Beavers, so it was good to see his name mentioned as far as a play. All right, so next one, getting to the players on the podium. Wan'Dale Robinson, one thing that he said that was different from last year to this year is that he feels that he's back to himself. Last year, he spent the whole summer in rehab, recovering, just trying to get healthy. This year, he focused on his craft. He was able to get his own outside coaching. He was working on his route tree. He thinks his speed is back to where it needs to be or even better. And you love to hear things like that. He also talked about, and I said it earlier today, his role as a leader in that wide receiver room. Again, we have guys like Darius Slayton, who's older than him, but you're hearing that Wan'Dale Robinson is taking on one of those leadership roles. Fantastic for me. He's one of these young guys that should be coming up with the team. And when you add young guys like Hyatt and Neighbors to that, you need a guy that's going to step up and be a leader in the room, and not just a leader in the room, but just also a leader on the field. And if he can continue to make plays, then you know what? Actions speak louder than words. If he's making plays, his role as a leader, becomes even brighter. Illuminor. Now, Illuminor was at the podium today, and I want to just talk about Illuminor for a minute because you guys know how I feel about Jermaine Illuminor. Right now, he's playing left guard. Last year, he played right tackle, and I believe he got the contract with the New York Giants because of what he did at right tackle for the Raiders. Now he's playing left guard, a position that he has to learn. And he did say that he did play it when he first started in the NFL, but he hasn't played it in a while. This is something that he needs to learn and hone his skills in. And guess what? He also said that now that he is at left guard, he just wants to stay there. And I thought this was absolutely funny. I kind of tilted my head and thought about it. And I'm just sitting here like, why is he saying that? Now, Jermaine Illuminor is a great guy. But that's what we've seen so far. As far as, his persona, he seems like a good guy, great guy, hard worker, cares about the players, cares about the team, ultimate team player type of dude. And then there was another comment made where he said he was working with Evan Neal's, to keep him confident. So that's where it makes sense. Now, we already know that the New York Giants are going to give Evan Neal every chance to be the starting right tackle. No matter how I feel about it, you feel about it, or the people that even support Evan Neal feel about it. For me, I think it's a waste of time putting Illuminor at left guard because I think ultimately he will end up being in the right tackle. But if everything plays out the way that these guys wanted to play out, then I can shut up and be on my way and just enjoy these New York Giants football games. But I really do believe that eventually Illuminor is going to be the starting right tackle, whether it's because Evan Neal is not healthy or he just not playing well. I think that's something that's going to happen. And if that does happen, now you're talking about musical chairs again, where you're shuffling the whole offensive line, or mainly the offensive line, in order to to find the right five. And I think that right now, while Evan Neal is hurt and on the sideline, we don't know when he's coming back. Dable did say he expects everybody to be healthy for training camp, but we don't really know that. We don't really know that, and we'll see what happens. But with that being said, right now, Jermaine Illuminor should be getting those right tackle snaps. He's not even getting any kind of rotational snaps. He is playing strictly at left guard, and I see that as a possible issue, moving forward. Let's see what else he said. So Illuminor was not always like a good player in the NFL. He credited one of his old teammates as helping him to build confidence, helping him to find that inner beast to want to work and get better every day, and that credit was to Max Crosby. So that's pretty cool. You got one of the better defensive ends in football that you're able to practice with every day. When he was there with the Raiders, and he was able to improve, and we saw that even in games against the New York Giants, how he was able to hand Kayvon Thibodeau a few times. But with that being said, too, you're taking a guy from right tackle and you're moving him to left guard, where he has to learn this position all over again. The way that he's his stance, everything is opposite from what he's been doing the last 2 years, and he's actually been pretty successful and been a pretty solid right tackle. And to me, right now, and I will argue with anybody, Jermaine Illuminor is our best right tackle, but he's playing left guard. And that's just my point of view. That's just my opinion. But that's just going to be the video. That's going to be the recap for MiniCamp Day 2. Again, we won't see the New York Giants on the field again until July 24th. That's when training camp starts. And I can't wait for that to happen. So I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And for one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.